And they gave us James McRory and Paul McStay. They gave us Johnston, Tully, Murdoch, Gold and Hay. And most of the football greats have passed through Parkhead's gates. But to play football the Glasgow Celtic way. And they played football the Glasgow Celtic way.
Hello and welcome to the Celtic Ray podcast. My name is Stephen Ray. I am your host and once again joined this week with Kevin McColgan. How are you doing, Kev?
Not too bad. Just keep an eye on the Scotland game here at Company 0-0. So.
Unlucky you.
I know. There's nothing else on the telly, so.
Aye, true. I'll be honest, it's not something I've ever... I mean, I like Scotland to do well, but I just can't... See, if they lose, I don't feel anything, if you know what I mean. It just doesn't hurt the same way as it does with a Celtic,
same.
You know. It's
it's not there for me, as you say it. I think we're just so used to just failure, and just think, oh, what's the point, you know?
We'll catch, obviously, we're recording as the game's on, so hopefully we'll catch a bit of the second half. Before we get started, I just want to say thanks again to Ewan Marshall over there in Sao Paulo in Brazil, who joined me on Tuesday night for a bonus podcast, just to mainly discuss Diego Laxalt. He covers a bit of South American football, and it was a player that he'd been talking about on his Twitter timeline and managed to get him on the pod too. So if anybody's not listening to that and you want to know anything about the new player, he was really informative, and obviously there was some other stuff we discussed in there as well, and he's got a couple of podcasts out himself regarding football, so regarding Brazil actually in 1970 World Cup, so check that out, and I'll probably get a wee check out as well because I love all that South American stuff. So now that that's out the way, on to our back to Celtic and back to your stuff. We'll kind of do a running order. You know, it'd be easy to kind of work back the way, but I'd rather sort of pick up where we left off. So obviously we qualified last week. We recorded just after the game. So the next day was the Europa League draw. What was your thoughts? Happy, sad, in between?
Let's never go pot one again. Was the overriding thing, because I think we got the unlucky draw out of every pot one team. I couldn't believe some of the, like Lille being a pot 4 team and Sparta Prague being a pot 2 and AC Milan being a pot 3. You know,
I wasn't bothered about Milan. I think it was because I fancied us against most teams in pot 2, and I do actually still fancy us against Sparta Prague. But Lille was the one that I wanted to avoid. That pot 4, you know, there's a lot of teams in there that I thought we would have been, you know, been really comfortable. But to draw Lille, you know, I thought, oh my God, that's terrible. It actually worked out that we get the second highest seed from each pot.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, every one of the teams, AC Milan, Lille, Sparta Prague, they've all had really strong starts in their own leagues. AC Milan, 9 points for 9 points. Lille are second, and Sparta Prague are about 6 or 7 games into their first in Liga. Yeah,
I don't generally follow Milan that much, but I don't think they've really played MD of sort of top quality. I think it was Spal they had at the weekend, and I think they spanked them. It was one of the sort of lower end teams, or one of the sort of smaller teams they played, and they beat them 3-0 from memory. But I've always been more of an Inter fan, so I tend to watch Inter more, and obviously all the big derby games as well. So I quite like watching Atalanta at the minute. They are an unbelievable side to watch. It's incredible.
Well, I think it was the game on Sunday. I mean, the stats from that game were incredible. I mean, was it 5-2 it finished?
5-2, but they beat 4-1. They beat Lazio 4-1 the week before. They have a team set up. I know we're going way off topic here, but they've got the way they set up. They set up in such an attacking manner. They actually buy players to fit a system, you know, and you know, hopefully we'll go on to that soon about Celtic buying players to fit a system. But it was back to the actual question that we brought up. Milan, Sparta Prague, and Lille. I think it's safe to. I think in name it's a bigger draw than last season, but in reality, I think it's actually slightly weaker than last season. If anybody actually pays attention to any of these leagues. Sparta Prague, I think, finished something like 25 points behind Slavia Prague, who were in the same pot as Sparta Prague.
Yep.
So, and then there was Milan, who finished 6th, 12 points behind Lazio last season, and Lille finished 4 or 5 points, I think, behind Rennes, who we actually took care of pretty easily, I felt, at Celtic Park. So, I'm not fearful, but it's definitely a group that all the teams can take points from each other.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a clear one-horse winner of the group. But the thing is, I mean, if you look at Lille, they're the kind of team that have done well relatively so far, and they've got a great player, and I'll pronounce this correctly, Jonathan David. He's the most known out of all the squad. And then when you look at AC Milan, the biggest name's Ibrahimovic, but he's got to retire at some point, isn't he?
Well, apparently he's struggling to make the game, but I don't know if that's just paper talk or whatever. But yeah, I mean, bring it on is what I say. I think
if you look at it, AC Milan, they needed a penalty shootout that went to 24 penalties against Rio Ave to go through.
That was nuts. Did you watch that?
If you watch the video of the Milan commentator, it's quite funny as well.
It's good.
Every penalty.
That's good. I mean, Rio of Ave, or however you pronounce it, they had 3 opportunities to put Milan out and missed all 3 of them. I particularly loved the one the goalie had the chance to put them through, and he'd just done exactly the same as the Milan goalie and pinged it about 10 yards over the bar. So
I think it's a typical goalie. I'm just going to hoof this as hard as I can, just do a Roy Aitken complete penalty. But
the one that hit both posts was particularly harsh, to be fair, because it hit the post, hit the keeper, and then hit the other post and came out. So
if that was Celtic, that would happen. That would happen in the European semi-final,
Yeah. So, and I mean, I was fairly happy with the draw in regards to glamour. I like to see Celtic get tested, but I would have preferred one easier team from pot 4, because I think pot 2 and 3 was going to be pretty difficult regardless of who you get. So yeah, could have been a lot better, that's for sure.
I mean, you could have got Dundalk, but no, we get Lille.
I know.
Anyway.
But you know what? I think Dundalk would be one of the games. It would have been pretty similar to what we're up against every week, in Scotland. Just, I think these teams will actually come to play, and I think Celtic actually play better when they have teams that don't sit so deep or so defensive. And obviously we've seen that in the last 2 qualifying rounds. We just come up against 2 teams who had zero interest in getting forward.
Well, as we said, I mean, both games were a carbon copy of one another. It needed a late goal, and we got the Riga game wasn't so late, and the Sarajevo wasn't so late, but it still needed just the odd goal. Whereas with games where teams come out that wee bit, we can exploit a wee bit better and get in behind.
Yeah. So that was a draw. I tweeted at the time. This is the kind of draw where Peter Lawwell comes out and says, "Oh, that's a Champions League group," before he whacks you £35 a ticket. So,
well, I wonder what added value, because that seems to be the key word at the moment. Added value we'll get to the season pass, with regards to that. If it's just going to be like, because people were coming out and saying, "Oh, are we going to get the
I don't think you can.
There's no way
BT own the rights.
There's no way they're going to give you the games for free. I mean, that was just absolute pie in the sky by some people. Yeah. But some people just want something for nothing at the same time. But
yeah,
I do agree.
You always pay for your. I mean, it's always an over and above.
I mean, people say, we should be getting every qualifier. Well, no, it's just, it just depends. People were moaning that we're going to get, or we're potentially not getting the playoff, but it's only ever if you have a season ticket, you get the first 2 qualifiers free, and then that's it. The other ones you'd have to pay for if you were going that way. Oh. And if it was a home game.
Well, whatever decision they make, it's their choice to decide whether they want to pay, to basically watch it in the house or not. I think it's a difficult situation for the club, because the club, really needed the stadiums to be full to try and claw back some of the money that they were maybe hoping for from Champions League qualification. So I don't. I understand the club's in a difficult position where I wouldn't like to be the person making that decision. And yeah,
Put
good
it
luck
this
to him.
way, JP, the SLO, is going to be very busy every
Aye.
2 minutes when they're saying, "Oh, why are we not getting this?" And he's saying, "Well, BT own the rights." Maybe they'll just pay Control V every time and just say,
Aye.
"BT own the rights, pal."
I know. It's just it's going to be one of the decisions that nobody's going to be. It's not going to be a 100%. We're with the club on this one. It's going to be pretty split, regardless. So, yeah, like I say, that was a draw. We could have had it a lot easier. We could have had it. We probably could have had it actually a bit tougher. Leicester instead of Sparta Prague, or even Slavia Prague instead of Leicester would have been even tougher. So, yeah, it is what it is, and let's hopefully we can do well out it. So that kind of brings us on to the game on Sunday, and obviously there was quite a few changes made. Scott Brown sat out for the first time this season, or he didn't start a game for the first time. What was your thoughts on that in the lineup?
Well, I must admit, I was shocked when Brown wasn't playing. I couldn't believe it. If truth be told, because every time in this podcast we always say he'll never get dropped, and then the next available game he's dropped.
I don't. Do you know what?
I don't
think drop's the right word. Rotated, I think, and I don't even think it was. He was dropped. I think it was just. I think he was effectively given the day off. I didn't think he was actually. There was a shot early on, about 6 minutes in, where he's sitting having a cup of tea. He's got the tracksuit on and he's chilled out. That looked to me like a player who wasn't coming on at all.
Exactly. I just found it a bit weird. You never see a sub doing that. I mean, we did see Lee Griffiths eat a tea cake one time, but that was that was a little bit different. But you've never against St Mirren, I think it happened, and they get a full box. Was it?
I think it was Partick. That's all right.
Well, whatever one it was, I mean, it's the same thing as that, but you would that was just had the persona and the stance of someone who just went, I'm here for watch a game of football, basically.
Basically, aye. So, trying to remember, there wasn't a hell of a lot of chances in the first half, but Celtic had a penalty shout, pull of the shirt on Shane Duffy. For you, was that a penalty?
Clear penalty all day long. Clear penalty. He's pulling the jersey, and it nearly rips off a Duffy. It's that much he's pulling.
If it happens in any other part of the park, it's a free kick.
Aye.
It just smacks a, I'm not going to get into the discussion whether it's biased referees and all that kind of stuff. I don't really get involved in that. But what I will say is, it's because Duffy doesn't get down and the ball kind of floats over the top of their heads. It's just too easy to wave off for these guys, these referees. The tough decision is just to go, no, he's pulled his shot. It's a penalty.
Well, see, the thing is that I actually used to referee about 3-4 years ago, and I actually know Nick Walsh. Not greatly, but I do know him. To talk to him, he'll know me, and I'll know him to a certain degree. And I've always thought that.
I don't want to put you in a position. He strikes me as the kind of guy that walks about with a mirror in his back pocket.
He's actually not that bad. He's actually not. He has that kind of look about him, but a very structured athlete, and does take his job as a referee very seriously. And I would say out of them all, he would be the one that I would want to be refereeing a game, because I think out of them all, he's the best out of them all.
Right. I know one of the linesmen, and let's just say he's given a penalty for Celtic at Ibrox, so pretty well. And I'll be honest, he's as straight as a die. He's straight down the middle. You don't get nothing out of him whenever I speak to him. I know him through work, stuff like that, and he's as honest as they come. So I can't, and because I know him, it kind of makes me kind of steer away from all that conspiracy stuff. I just think sometimes you just get bad referees, and we don't have VAR, and I know VAR's no used particularly well down in England, and it's a bit too full on.
Aye.
I don't think VAR's the problem. I think the rules are the problem at times, and I think if you have that, there's no hiding place for any mistakes. But
I'm of the opinion I don't think VAR will come to Scotland for quite a few years. It's just purely a cost basis at the moment. Nobody really wants it.
Fans coming in anyway, that's for sure.
No, definitely not. But no, I mean, I do think people were quick to say the referee didn't have a great game, which he probably didn't on evaluation of the performance and some of the decisions. But yeah, back to what we were saying, it is a clear grip of Duffy's jersey. It is a penalty for me.
Yeah. So not much really happened beyond that. I thought the midfield was really disjointed. We started with McGregor and Turnbull, Wayne Cham up ahead. But what I did notice is round about 35 minutes, roughly round about that point, Turnbull moved further forward and then Cham dropped deeper. And it was actually picked up on Sportscene because Michael Stewart had picked up on it in one of their analysis that and Cham took. There was a passage of play that actually led to a chance for Celtic quite late on in the first half where Cham takes the ball from the defence really deep and he passes it through a couple of St Johnstone players forward into McGregor. McGregor moves it up the park as quickly as he does and I think it ends up resulting in a Edward sort of chance where he kind of turns and shoots, but there was no really any pace on it. I think the best option for him at the time was actually lay it off to Taylor, who was coming in from the left, but whether Taylor would have took the shot on, I don't know. But
I think Turnbull was also just hovering about at where Edward took the shot as well. I think that could have been.
But I thought St Johnstone were really well organised. I thought they were, they closed down the fullbacks, they closed that space, they didn't allow much once we got to sort of 35 yards out. And I think we've been on Brown's case since probably the start of this podcast, and I think what it's shown. And we've never been one. I'd like to say that we've not been, get Brown out and keep him out and don't let him play any games. I think we've been quite consistent that there's games where Brown should start and play, but there's also games that he should be coming on. He should be on the bench, and if needed, to either close out a game or help sort of drive on late on, where you're getting the 90 minutes that he's trying to. The 90 minutes of energy you're getting out of him in 20, where he doesn't have to worry about, burning out late on in the game. He can actually just go for it, and
exactly.
So
I think when we come on to the later of analysis of the game, he did have a part to play. I mean,
I think he had a huge part to play, to be fair. But what it showed is right now the system, for whatever reason, isn't really working. Although we've got the team that should be able to play it. So I don't know what the issue is. We just seem, I don't know, Eddie just is off it. El Yunusi's dropping into the same spaces that Edwards dropping into. They're doubling up on the fullbacks. You're not getting much joy out of Greg Taylor. I thought Turnbull was really poor. I thought he was probably the poorest player in the park for us, to be fair. It was really disjointed. I'm not going to ever go at Turnbull. It's only his second game and it's his first start, so it happens. St Johnstone are a tough egg, So
I feel sorry for Turnbull because he came on such a high with such a good performance against a better team in Hibs.
Yeah,
and it's just a shame to see because I hope that doesn't look bad for him. Like thinking. Len will be thinking, well, he didn't do well there, so I'm never going to, I hope that's not the case.
No, I think the difference, Celtic Park's, it's a bigger pitch. Hibs play quite open, so there's a lot of space for him to sort of be creative. I think St Johnstone is just one of these teams, they don't score a lot of goals. I think I think they've got the worst goal conversion rate. Or the XGs and data, bollocks. But I think they've got the lowest goals in the league at the minute. And if you're not a team that scores a lot, then you're going to have to set up really well at the back. And I thought, defensively, I thought they were pretty solid, but they get away with a hell of a lot, to be honest.
Some of the challenges. I mean, you could have been booked for a couple of times before. I mean, I think it was Murray Davidson.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have been not sent off, but there was a few yellow cards, easily yellow card offences.
Well, the one that really pissed me off, the one that really got in my back was pretty early on. It was only about 7 or 8 minutes in, where the guy grabs Cham round the back of the neck, pulls him back, and then he gets ahead of Cham because he's pulled him back, and Cham returns the favour, and Nick Walsh stops the game and books Cham. And for that minute onwards, I knew we weren't going to get much opportunity in Cham for the game because. I'm sure he's conscious of getting 2 quick yellows against St Mirren, and obviously he took a lot of stick for that performance. And I think you could see that any time there was a challenge to be made, he kind of backed out a wee bit, or he was really careful, about what he went in for, and I just think getting a yellow card that early in a game that was going to be physical was just, it just sets a player back. You could have subbed him at that minute, because I don't think you were going to get a hell of a lot out of him. Although I thought when the minute he dropped deep, and that's when Celtic started to look as if they were starting to create a wee bit more,
Which is his better position, as we've always said in this pod.
Aye, definitely. So, yeah, and there was a challenge actually. It was a scissor challenge. Boy came in from the side. I'm trying to remember who he took out. It may have been Frimpong.
Yes, it was. It was Frimpong. Yeah.
That was. I mean, for me, that was borderline red. It's like it was an orange card, if you want to call it. It could have went either way, and I don't even think he got booked from memory.
No, I mean, he clearly sided him down. There was no attempt to play the ball, and if you look at it, I think there's. Is there intent to endanger the safety of the opponent? Well, I think there clearly was there. Clearly.
It was a bit reckless. It's coming in at that speed, wrapping your legs around players. I just find it...
I think that was just... St Johnstone always have that kind of mentality in them. They will just hack anything down. Yeah. As much as they are good defensively, they're good defensively because they don't mind putting the boot in and... taking the odd yellow or taking the odd red, It
doesn't help when, there was a clear ploy that each player was going to take their turn in fouling or pulling shirts or pulling back or, barging off the ball or whatever. Because, it took a while to get a yellow and then they're allowed to get away with another bunch of fouls before they get another yellow and stuff. So it's that side it's really frustrating, and that's where, Celtic, are going to maybe need a bit of luck on the day and, a couple of moments to try and win the game, especially when you're not playing well yourself. So, we get to half time. Nothing much really happened other than
it was a very poor half. Well, counts. I mean, and then it didn't really get much better.
No, not for a while anyway. But obviously, St Johnstone had a pretty good chance actually. Toward cross comes in from the left, and the boy come running in at the back post. Can't mind his name, and cracks the post. Conway, he should have buried it, to be fair, but he's went near post instead of far post and blew it. So
Taylor was nowhere to be seen, and you seen Ayer shouting. You know what I'm saying? You need to tell me he's there. Because I think Ayer left it thinking there's nobody coming.
Yeah.
And then he's at Taylor saying, why didn't you tell me? And I did think, oh, here we go. And see if that went in, I would have thought, well, there was no way we were scoring. I thought we would have been. It could have been one of those games where you play for 90 days and you wouldn't get a goal.
Yeah, well, Turnbull comes off pretty early. I think he actually comes off before the 60-minute mark.
58th minute, I took a note of it just to...
Have you taken notice of the subs? I hope you did, didn't I?
I always do it now because I'm thinking it right.
So who come on for Turnbull from memory?
Christie,
that's right. Christie come on.
Edward.
We'll come on to Christie in a wee bit.
Yeah, and Edward for Klimala at the same time.
I wasn't surprised at that.
No.
And I don't think there was actually that much... complaints about it on Twitter as the game was going on. It was a shit game, so you kind of start looking at your phone as you do. But I never seen that many people saying, what the hell's he doing? I think a lot of people agreed with that decision because I don't think he was playing well at all.
He just looked to be so off the ball, and we don't know whether maybe something was in his system because obviously he would have been tested to play the game, and that would have been fine, obviously because of the result that he got, but he just didn't look at the races whatsoever. But to be fair, he's not looked at the races for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the interest, if there was any interest, was looming over him and maybe move away. But hopefully now, when he's come out of his self-isolation, hopefully he gets better and his health recovers, that he can push on and get back to the player that he was last season, because last season he was one of the best players about, but totally off the ball, and completely correct decision to take him off.
Yeah, so Klimala actually gets a chance not long after. It was a brilliant cross from Ncham from the right, and Klimala runs across his man and kind of gets a wee, just enough to try and guide it towards the back post, and I think he was only a yard away from, because the keeper had no chance. The keeper was left standing. So that was
close. It was actually.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it was almost a wee bit like his goal against Hamilton where he just hit it, Yeah. But apart from it was a cross this time.
So Ncham comes off for Roderick from memory. Griffiths comes on for
Mo
El Yunusi
in the 75th minute.
Yep. I don't think we you could tell St Johnstone were starting to drop deeper, and the game was starting to open up a bit. And I remember there was one of the first touches Rogic took. He actually took it on one of those half turns, and he actually got away for 2 guys. It was absolutely majestic. And you're like, we missed that. I still think he's the best number 10 we have. We just need to get games at him.
It is good to see him back, and he'd find space in a telephone box, Rogic. He honestly would. Because, as you say, the turns when he just finds space is great to watch, and he just gets away, and it's that couple of yards to see where there's a pass available, and he pings it, or he passes it, or he even takes a shot sometimes. I hope he gets more time. I do hope he does.
I think he's got 3 years left in his contract, so it's not as if he's gone anywhere fast. So.
And I think he'll be happy to, because I think he'll be on a decent wage at Celtic, so I think he'll be happy to try and fight for his position somewhat, you know.
So, not too many chances sort of spring to mind from that after that Koromala chance, but then obviously Brown comes on, and he comes on for
Taylor. 80th minute.
That's right. Yes. So, and it's safe to say that, and this is where Brown is really effective, I think. Duffy can be inspirational from the back, but pushing the midfield and strikers forward, it's probably a bit easier for a midfielder to do. So, I'd noticed on one of these new analytic Celtic Twitter pages last night, they were talking about, Brown made St Johnstone drop back 8 yards. No, he said Celtic played 8 yards further up the field when Brown came on, and I responded just at pettiness. I responded saying, did St Johnstone not drop back 8 yards because they were tired? So, and that's the point about the data and analytics stuff is. You can put one thing forward and somebody can counter it. I'm not saying what I said was true or even what he said was true or she said, but it's just there's 2 sides to a story. I do think Celtic definitely pushed up a bit further. We started getting balls wide and the game started to actually get a bit more open and St Johnstone were trying to counter attack as well. So you want to talk us through the goal that sent us all wild? Apart from one person.
I mean, it was.
I put you in the spot here, Hunter.
I'm not told. It was a great, absolutely pinpoint cross from El Hamid.
Actually, it looked as if he took a bobble before he's almost crossed it as the ball's kind of slightly in the air, and it's an unbelievable cross, I think.
Well, it was when I thought Ayer was going to lose the ball before he gave it to El Hamid, and
he done some wee fancy flick, didn't he?
And he flicked it just over the feet, and I thought, all right, here we go. And then you see Griffiths moving, and you're just like, right, get it good. And then when he did correct it, I thought, he's put it wide. I was like, oh, thank God for that.
It was quite similar to the goal he scored against Rosenborg in the group stages a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 89th minute as well. I think it was very similar. But I think it's great to see Lee Griffiths back and scoring because he comes up with goals like that, and by God, we needed it. And I know what you're going to say next.
I was pretty surprised to see him play, if I'm honest. I'm actually really surprised to see him back in the team. I just thought he's one of these guys that the club have just had enough. But to actually get back in, whether it's through, the fact that Ajetti's injured or whatever the reason, but the fact that he's got himself back is kudos to him. It's annoying that he wasn't available for the Champions League game that we went out in. So, I think he's still got a shitload of making up to do, but, it's an unbelievable header. It's a fantastic header.
I think it's a great header, and it's great to see that he can still do it, even with everything that went on in the summer, and, he broke club protocol, or he was unfit, whatever it was. We'll never really know the full stories. We never know with any player. But for him to come back and score a very important goal, which over the season could be very, very decisive. I know it was 2-0, but I don't know if you never know if you're going to score that goal if you don't score the first, obviously. And I think his interview was very, very good as well. It was very much an apologetic manner, just saying, well, as much as I scored, I still need to work hard. I still need to get in the team. It's for the team.
It was all team focused, wasn't it? It wasn't League Griffiths.
And that to me was refreshing to see. And I thought, let's give him a chat. And we'll give him how many chances now. But the main thing is he scored the goal. We got the what I thought was a winning goal then. And a great header. But why was Christie not happy?
Well, I don't want to put words like that forward. I nearly broke Twitter by even suggesting, no, the response was probably 70-30 in agreement with me, and I wasn't actually saying, but I didn't actually necessarily believe what I was saying. What I was saying was, I just found it a weird reaction, that the teams worked, tirelessly to try and get a winner. It's an important game. Rangers are playing later on in the day. We don't want to go further behind. We've got the advantage if we win our game in hand. And your teammate comes off the bench to score. He's been out of the game for almost a year. It's bedlam. But I just found it weird that he turns round. Somebody's pointed out to me that he actually done a sort of clenched fist kind of thing, as if a small kind of yas to himself. But I just feel that I just found it a really, really weird reaction.
Well, if you compare it, Christie's reaction to Duffy's reaction,
yes.
I mean, he sunk to the ground and gave it a bloody big yes, you know what I mean, in clenched fist, and you can actually hear him if you watch the unique angle. I think he nearly woos at the end, and everybody else is so happy, and even Klamala is hardly getting a game, and he's still buzzing for Griffiths to get the goal and the 3 points. I just think that there's maybe something with Christie, here, and maybe he's angling for a move, and maybe it never materialized.
Well, we've heard the rumours that his dad is sort of pushing for him to sort of go down south and stuff like that. And obviously he was really friendly with the likes of Stuart Armstrong, who's now sort of making his name in the Premier League in England. And, that friendship's brought him 2 weeks in the bin, to be honest. That, all
PlayStation, you know what I mean?
Aye. So, what was I going to say? I found it weird, but each to their own. It might be like that every time Celtic score that he's not involved in or scores. I don't know. I've never noticed it. It was the first time I've noticed it or seen it. I remember it was a couple of weeks ago, I think. I can't remember what game it was, but obviously people talk about Ayer once away and Ayer doesn't want to be here. But Celtic scored a goal and Ayer dropped his knees,
Yeah.
And
it was the Riga game.
It was that's right. El Yunusi scored. You could see the unique angle. He just drops his knees in pure joy, relief, celebration. And you're like, do you know what? That's a guy, regardless of what he wants to do with his career, he still cares about the club he's at,
Exactly. You just like to see a bit of passion instead of just if it was a small clenched fist. I mean, it's as if you've just been happy to get to the bar, like, I'm here.
I don't know. I mean, some people were saying, I was looking far too much into it. I wasn't really looking into anything. I just asked the question, did anyone else think it was a weird reaction? That was all. I wasn't saying, Christie wants away and he's not happy and all that bollocks. It's just that, like I said, weird reaction for me, for a player, for a team that's gone for a historic title and you get a late winner. So,
I put it into the group chat and not one of them replied, and that could just be that they're maybe just ignoring me. But I mean, I just found it very.
One for bites.
I found it very weird that none of them saw anything about it, because I just think you should be celebrating a wee bit more in the 89th minute winner.
Yeah, I think it was Roy Keane spoke about that, and I think Gary Neville spoke about it, that Alex Ferguson encouraged all the players to celebrate every goal that they score, and that's why you always seen, whenever a Man U player scored under the Fergie's tenure, that every player was pretty much, we go and congratulate the goal scorer. So I don't want to dwell on it too much. So that kind of brings us on to the next goal, and Duffy intercepts a pass. He's in the St Johnstone half. Well, just before that, actually, St Johnstone had a bit of a break, and I think Christie actually cleared it.
Christie cleared the lines. Yeah, it was in behind, and then
it's pretty dangerous. I thought we were going to blow it, because I just literally sat down after celebrating. The ball finds its way up the other end of the park. St Johnstone player tries to sort of play it out, but Duffy, from memory, intercepts it, and then he passes it forward. Yep. Passes it into Klamala, who's pretty much one-on-one with the last defender, and the defenders absolutely sived him down, man. I don't know if he's got any of the ball, but he's absolutely murdered them. And just as you're about to shout, yeah, fucking, whatever, Klamala's on his feet, still faster than anybody run about him and pings it right into the top of the net, and you're like, holy fuck, what a goal that is, man. That's unbelievable.
I couldn't believe it because there's not many players that would actually do that. And just getting back to what you were like, my dad was like, for fuck's sake, what a goal, son. That's a crack. It's just like totally changed his tune,
He didn't even flinch. That's the thing. I mean, that was such a hard tackle. Nobody else in the Celtic team gets up, I think.
No.
I just think this guy has got something in him. I don't know how much quality he's got, but there's times he makes runs and he's scored a couple of goals already, and to just have the desire to take that on the chin and get up and bury it the way he did, it's kudos to the guy, man. I mean, I tweeted that Klamala's just went full fucking Rambo,
You see, the thing is, it's kudos to him as well, because I think the first version of the Klamala that we signed, where he was like built like a jockey's whip, he wouldn't have got up, I don't think. But now that he's kind of bulked up a wee bit, he's a lot stronger. That's good. And I think that's a different version of we're seeing him, and he looks a lot more confident. But the confidence to get up after that foul, it could have been done for assault, really. It was that bad.
I think what we need is every time he's clean through and goal, somebody to 2-footer him in the back.
So I'll take that against Rangers if they do it.
So
right in the park, goals to take out, we'll score.
Unbelievable finish to the game, and it's funny because see if you score 2 goals in the first 5 minutes and then you play the way we did for the rest of the game, I think you came away from that game thinking, we were shite and should have won by more. But I think to win a game in that manner, 2 goals in the last few minutes, I think it kind of just blinds you to what went before, and you're just so ecstatic at the result. It's good that we got the first game, but to get a second just was the icing. And I think that
it is good, but it does, as you say, it does blind certain visions of how poor the game was, and I don't think that should be forgotten either.
I think it proves. I mean, I was waiting on a barrage of comments about see Scott Brown, but I think what it did was sort of back up what we've been thinking, but what it kind of shoots down is some of what we've been thinking is Brown's the problem, and I think what it's shown is something's a problem, but we just can't put a finger on it. But this is what Neil Lennon gets paid a lot of money for. He needs to figure out why the team isn't playing so well. Is it some players are been angling for a move and don't want to get injured? Is it their heads are not fully in it? I don't know. I just hope now that the window's shut that we can hopefully see the Celtic that sort of kicked on after New Year last year, because we've got the players for it. So that would bring us into the transfer window, and obviously we only made one more signing. Obviously it was discussed the other night with myself and Ewan Marshall, Diego Waxout. Were you surprised to see us linked and actually sign a South American of considerable note, to be honest?
When I saw that he was getting linked with us, I thought, and it was the way that it broke, because it was getting reported from Italian news outlets, and I thought, you've seen it a million times before, that you get linked to a very well known player, and then it comes out and says, Celtic are never interested, but then it did kind of build arms and legs, and you see that he was Team of the Year at the World Cup, and I must confess, I didn't really keep an eye on him at the World Cup, because I don't think you ever really do. You just want to see a good couple of goals every game in the World Cup, if truth be told. You're not looking for individual performances from a supposed left back, but it was good to see that he has had quite a few appearances under his belt in Italy alone with Genoa, and also, as I've said, the Player of the Year, Team of the Year, and Team of the World Cup. Looking forward to seeing him, and refreshing, as was mentioned on the pod, refreshing to see a South American come to Parkhead for a change.
Yeah, well, I know the two boys for the Argentina Celtic supporters club are extremely excited. Obviously, Uruguay neighbours. Argentina neighbours Uruguay. So I actually wrote about him back in the 6th of July 2018. I think it was actually being spoke about on By the Minute Celtic, because I replied to them, wrote, Laxalt is a Uruguay left back, boy with braids, plays for Genoa, he's 25, he's more left midfield but can function up and down the whole left side. Apparently he's looking for a bigger club. You'd have thought we might have watched him when Ncham was at Genoa, and that was what I wrote 2 years ago. And then I wrote last year that we should take half the KT money and give it to Milan for Diego Laxalt. So he's a player that I've seen quite a number of times. I was really impressed with him at the World Cup, and I think his look was distinctive, the braids. So, this sort of wee skinny guy at left back for Uruguay. But what I noticed about him is tenacity, speed. He's got technique. He's really, really aggressive. He doesn't look it. It looks like the wind up at Lennoxtown with no Khmer. I'm just really looking forward to it. I think people might be pretty surprised how good this guy is. I heard him being spoken about on TalkSport with Tim Vickery, because he's got a slot every Wednesday afternoon. And I was interested to sort of listen out for that. And he didn't say much on it because they were trying to batter through a number of players that had signed for English clubs. But obviously they'd mentioned Laxalt, and they just his comments was just based on, this guy just is get bundles and bundles of energy, and he's just non-stop. He's pretty ferocious, in regards to his.
Uruguayan teams are normally, remembered for being quite tough, ferocious teams, and teams with energy and intensity.
They don't give up.
No.
I think they've got that. They've just seem to have this fight in them, which Ewan spoke about the other night. They just have this never say die attitude, and he kind of spoke about it, obviously in his translation for his interview, talking about, he likes to leave everything on the field, kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's the sort of guy that you want maybe in a game. I don't know if he would start on the game in 2 weeks' time, but it's certainly someone that I'm really looking forward to seeing. I can't confess, I'm not seen much of him.
Yeah.
But if he can pull off that hairstyle in Glasgow on a Saturday night, he can do anything. I know.
I've seen loads of comments about, he looks like a 13-year-old that's came home from Benidorm with Amanda on holiday and stuff like that.
He's a brave man. If he can pull that off, he'll be a great signing, because nothing will faze him. But no,
I think somebody's already some wee guy got a photo of him in one of the Starbucks in town and stuff like that. So obviously he's been quite a few stuff on Instagram, the Celtic Instagram account today, and just showing some of his training and stuff like that from today. So he's there. There's quite a lot of players left behind, like Cham, Julienne, Brown, Mikey Johnson, Karamoko Dembele, just to name a few they're all still there. So there's still some notable players still at the club. Ayeti as well, yeah. So obviously he doesn't speak a word of English as far as I can see. Now
they're looking Nakamura for really, and if truth be told, if he's half as good as Nakamura, then we've got a player. So I think that translator at the end was just being given a job and they've not really done much. Truth be told.
It might be a job. I know he's in Sorrento just now, but it might be a job for Sean McDonald for the Blethered podcast, because he's pretty fluent in Spanish. So Celtic might give him a shout and get them to hang about with him, unless he's got too much to do with his podcast. But it might be a shout out for Sean.
You could take it over for a while then if you want.
Yeah. But overall, what was your thoughts on the 6 players that we brought in? Out of 10, how would you rate the transfer window?
Oh, I would. It has to be a decent 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best windows I've seen in a number of years at Parkhead. We've addressed all the positions essentially that we needed, in my opinion. Goalkeeper, the left back very late on, centre half, albeit it's a loan signing. We finally got Turnbull. We're all happy to see that. Ayeti, already looking like a player. It's a very, very good window.
Yeah.
And also Ellen Rousseau, I just think if we can just get him back to the way he was, then I think it really will go down as a successful window. And I think already it has been a successful window, because I think Barkas, for the $5 million that we've paid for him, I think he will show that he is worth every penny, because he's very, very commanding and very calm on the ball. And
I think it's
anything came in on Sunday, he was catching it as if it was nothing.
I think it's unfair to call him Fraser Foster's replacement, because Fraser Foster wasn't our player. You know, he was a guy on 90 grand a week with 2 years to run, and he's decided he didn't want to come back. So effectively, Barkas is replacing Craig Gordon.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it's an upgrade because Craig Gordon has his best time is now definitely behind him. You know, we got 2 or 3 really good years out of Craig Gordon, if not actually more than that. But you couldn't have relied on Craig Gordon this season, I don't think, because the likelihood of Fraser Foster coming back was very unlikely. You know, Shane Duffy's definitely an upgrade on Simunovic, who's left. Diego Waxal is an upgrade on both left backs that we had. You know, obviously Bolingoli's weirdly going to be playing Champions League football.
Let's not even get it.
You know, Turnbull is just a no-brainer, you know, for the future for midfield, but he's good enough to step in, you know, to games and not look too out of place. El Yunusi, you know, I just think he's a quality player, and we just need to find the right spot for him. And Ayeti is an absolute massive upgrade on Bio, who's went out on loan. So I'm trying to think if I forgot anybody out of that lot.
No, I think that's it.
You know, so I think we've got 2 good players for every position at least. You know, if we're going to play 3-5-2, I might have wanted to see another centre back in, but that kind of leaves out. That would leave El Hamid and Beaton kind of in the wings. So I can understand that the club didn't want to push it too far, and we actually lost a lot of, you know, Deadwood at the club as well. I think we maybe 10 or 12 had left the club and 6 in. So I think it's.
We did get rid of a lot of wages when you do count it up. I mean, there was quite a lot because we get sent a.
Oh, Gordon would have been easily on 25. You know, because he had that 3-year contract that he renewed after we knocked back Chelsea. So there's no doubt he would have been on a hefty wage. We would have been picking up Fraser Foster, some of his wage. Simunovic would have been on 20 plus easy. You know, so we've probably, what's went out and what's come in, we're probably no any worse off in wages. But, you know, I don't really worry about that. I just look at the quality. You know, is the team better now than it finished last season? And I think it is.
Yeah,
for me,
just quickly, there's upgrades, you know.
Just quickly, sorry to cut you off. What I was going to say, I agree with you on an 8, and I'm only saying it's an 8 because I'd have preferred these players in prior to Ferencváros. Although I know it's difficult because guys like Waxal and Duffy and maybe Ajeti might have been looking at potentially other offers, and as it turned out, Celtic was the best offer for them. So I know it would have been really difficult to get them all in, but I think this team, as it stands, makes the Champions League. Unfortunately, the games have been played and we've missed it. So for me, it's a strong 8, bordering on 9 out of 10 for me.
It will be a success if we obviously get the number that we want and get to the end of the season and win what we want to win. But the thing is, I mean, we could be here all night with we should have got this player in, we should have got that player in. But it is what it is, and it is been a great window. And we've addressed all the positions. And as you've said there, when we go through each of them, there's an upgrade on every position, and we've loaned out a lot of Deadwood. Jack Henry being a start. You know, he's away. I mean, I think there's like 13 players out on loan in this one.
Or have been freed.
Or freed. You know, so Benyu, I think's away now. Hayes, Arzani, he's away. You know, Gordon's. It does all mount up, and it's good that those wages have been used in a way for the Yetis, for Barkas, Blacks.
Lennon said they wanted to tidy the squad up. There was obviously and clearly far too many players there, but no enough in-depth quality. And I think, you know, although Klamala and Sorrell came in January, they've took that while to get up to speed. So effectively, you could throw them in as, you know, into these 6 as sort of cover for these positions. So, you know, I don't like that. Or somebody signs a new contract and they say, oh, it's like a new signing, you know, all that stuff. But Klamala and Sorrell have played so little football from January that effectively, you know, they are new signings, you know, for us. And so far, Klamala looks as if at first he wasn't looking great, but that might have changed my mind just the desire and tenacity the other day, and the finish makes me think I might have went too early on him. And Sorrell looks a tidy wee player, but he's going to really struggle to get in that midfield at the minute.
See, the thing is, I do think there is a good fighter and a good engine in Sorrell. As you say, though, he will struggle big time to get in there. But
I think he looks tidy. I think he looks neat on the ball. I just don't know if this is the season he's going to. Who does he get? He doesn't get in ahead of Brown. He doesn't get in ahead of McGregor. He doesn't get in ahead of Encham or Turnbull for me. So it's a tough one. You'll probably see him in League Cup games or the odd game where we're playing Hamilton at home or something
in December. And
aye,
fans still. But the thing about Kalamala is, at least when he comes on now, you're guaranteed maybe a goal or a good shift out of him wherever he's going to play. I mean, fair play. We came on and he scored a goal. You can't ask for much more of a striker.
So me and you are both happy, but somebody who wasn't happy and was just sitting there thinking that he's not happy, and that was Charlie Nicholas. Did you read his column?
No, I don't waste my time on it, to be honest. I mean,
I only read it for research purposes.
Yeah.
I hate clicking into clickbait stuff because it is pure clickbait. But I thought I need to know what you said just for the sole purpose of this podcast.
I got
before
the,
I can slag
the
him.
basis of it from what Lennon was saying,
Aye.
and that was enough for me because the man, for one, has got the worst patter on Soccer Saturday. Not anymore, but has. With these stupid jokes with Jeff Sterling and saying he couldn't drive and whatever.
God.
And whatever the joke was, it was so poor. Charlie Nicholas is just Mr. Anti-Celtic.
He's been at the club for years. I don't know what the issue is. I really don't. He's just constantly going on about how now, and Celtic probably should be in the Champions League, but they're not. And so there's no point in banging on about it. We're not in there. But the point is, he was making was the signing of Diego Laxalt was just a cheap option for Celtic. Now, Laxalt at Milan signed for £13 million or roughly €15 million. He just came off the back of a brilliant World Cup. He's probably on 35-40 grand a week at Milan.
Mm-hmm.
He's no came to us for free. And he's no came with a loan fee, I don't think. So to call him a cheap option, I guarantee he doesn't even know who he is or hasn't even seen him play. So the guy's an absolute buffoon, and he needs to drop the earring. He's too old for it. Aye. So I actually had a question in regards to Charlie Nicholas, and I'm going to see if I can find it. So this came from Michael.
I've never seen anybody because I'm not playing in the Premier League. And that's all these Sky punters are the same. And you can't take really too much of the same.
I've never heard the Diego Laxalt. He must be shite. That's what it came across like. So Michael at B89 Michael wrote, "Why is Charlie Nicholas such a cunt?"
We could be here all night with that one.
Well, Lennon didn't miss him. Lennon
No,
absolutely battered him right between the eyes because he's true. He doesn't think for me, and he doesn't think for Celtic, and he doesn't know the inner workings of the club. To call Celtic going for a Uruguayan World Cup quarter finalist at AC Milan is a cheap option. It just smacks of just a lack of awareness. I think.
And who featured in the team of the tournament as well.
Aye. It's just, where do you even go with it? It is absolute clickbait. And apparently Alan Ruff agreed with him on that PLZ Soccer. Apparently the rest of the panel completely disagreed, but Alan Ruff is just another dinosaur football pundit, And it blows the theory that anybody who's played the game knows the game, And I've never believed that because you played football that you know about football. There is a lot of guys. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of footballers out there that know a shitload more than me. But there's the odd guy like somebody like Nicholas who sits in that panel every week, sitting there thinking, just coming out with bullshit, man. And it's hilarious actually. And he's joined a long list of ex-Celts who, because I noticed that Lennon had made a comment about ex-players having a dig at the club, and I'm sure that was in reference to Chris Commons as well, who's, Lee Griffiths scores a goal and he comes out in these panels saying, "Oh, he's still got a lot of making up to do." You're like, hold on, you're the guy that came off against Mulder and started shouting at the manager,
You see, the thing is, it seems to be that any time, we have a few of these players like they just become Mr. Anti-Celtic. Davy Provan as well.
They spend too long in England. They look at England and the riches that are on down there and assume that Celtic, are at that level of finance. We just are not. We don't have fans coming in. We've done well to sell season tickets. We've done well to keep all our own best players. It's a lack of awareness at the club, I think, and I think some of these guys is best left to their own devices. I notice any time some shitey media, whether it's the Record or the Sun or Super Scoreboard or whatever, makes an absolute brain fart comment. I noticed one of the guys for the 20-minute Tims just quotes it saying support fan media, part 1 or part 2 or part 3, depending on how many there's been that day. So that's quite good.
But to be honest though, I mean, it is correct, because if you were to believe then, you believe that the English Premier League was the best league in the world and nothing else comes into consideration.
Anything won elsewhere doesn't count unless you've done it in England. And
people were saying, Klopp's a terrible manager. This is a guy that got to Champions League finals and won 2 German titles over a very strong Bayern Munich side. I mean, you need to give the guy credit for that alone,
Yeah.
But these people also believe, and I say it every time, that Harry Maguire's worth 80 million. So
I had my bottle of water there and I crushed it by accident.
That's frustration at Charlie.
I had a question from Liam J. McLaughlin, who is a Larky Boy 85. You've definitely sent me questions before. He's wrote, with Christie out of the derby, do you think that is a blessing in disguise given that he hasn't played well in these games? And who do you think will play out of Incham or Turnbull? Or as Lennon likes to surprise people, will he start with Rogic? Obviously, I think it's too early to predict at this minute in time the team, because you don't know who's going to come back injured or fit or whatever. But to answer the question in regards to Christie missing the derby, obviously it's unfortunate that he was playing PlayStation with Stuart Armstrong and Stuart Armstrong's got COVID. But I don't think Christie has played well in any Celtic Rangers games. I think he's actually been one of the worst players in the park every time. And I think it is a bit of a blessing in disguise that he's not going to play.
Oh yeah, because I mean the way it was looking was, I'm thinking that he might try to play him up front, with Edouard being out. It could be that way, try and shoehorn him in somewhere when he probably doesn't need to be in. I'd like to see Rogic, because Rogic always seems to turn it up against Rangers. It always seems to cause them problems. And I was speaking to a guy last night at Fives, and he's a big Rangers man, and he was saying, he says, I hope Rogic doesn't come, because he says he's the guy that always causes us problems. He says no matter what it is, he can just ping it for 35 yards and it's a goal. But he says he's got a great touch, and it just basically what we've always been saying. But
personally, I think we'll go with Brown, McGregor, and Incham, because I know a lot of people are on Incham's case at the minute, and I don't think he is playing well, to be fair. I'm a big supporter of Incham, but I'm no blind. I don't think he is playing well, but he's generally played really well against Rangers when he's played against them. The only time I can remember where he was pretty piss poor was the game we lost 1-0 where Ryan Jack scored, and I think Brown was poor that day alongside him, and McGregor played left back. But other than that, I think Incham's been excellent against Rangers, and he's had he set up. He was big part of Edward's goal that won the game 3-2. He was big part of Johnny Hayes' goal. He was a 1-2, and then he's passed through. Set Johnny Hayes up. I think at Celtic Park he's played really well against Rangers. He had that man of the match performance a couple of years back where we won 1-0 and he scored. So, I think he's turned it on big time against Rangers. I think he likes playing against them. I think he likes the big games. He played well in the Cup semi-finals against them and stuff. So I think it will be Incham that will play. I think Brown will definitely come back in, and McGregor, hopefully if he comes through the internationals unscathed, will play. I think the big question is more likely who do we play? Does he start Lax out, which I think he should, and who plays up front? Personally, if if everyone, I don't think Edward will be fit for it. I don't think. So I think if Ayeti's fit, I think it will be Ayeti and El Yunusi up front, personally. But we're a long way off. There's a week to go before we even start to think about that, to be honest. What do you think?
Well, the first thing, I would love to see Laxalt start, but knowing Lennon, he'll just go, he's not quite fit yet, and they'll give us the party line and it'll be great.
Well, he's been on the bench for Milan every game this season so far. So he is match fit.
That is something then. So I'd like to see him there. It's definitely Ayeti. And I think it's got to be El Yunusi. I don't think it will be Klimala.
No.
I just don't think Lennon would trust him.
We'll see if it's no Ayeti and Edwards no fit either. Then I think Klimala is going to start ahead of Griffiths, because Klimala is the fitter of all the strikers at the minute.
Aye. But then it wouldn't surprise you, knowing Lennon, that he might just throw Griffiths in.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me.
It's the one thing that pisses me off about Lennon, is the curveball mentality. You don't need to curveball anything. You've got the players, play them in the right position, or as close to it as possible. The reason I think he will start Laxalt is that, if he doesn't start the Rangers game, then the next game after that, as far as I'm aware, is Milan. And then it's Aberdeen away, and then it's Aberdeen, and then it's, I think it's another Europa tie, and then it's Aberdeen in the Cup. So where do you throw him in? You may as well just start him right away, and just throw him into the biggest game. So, if the guy's really experienced, he's 27 years old, he's international footballer, played at the highest level, played Serie A for 7 years. I don't think there's any problems in throwing him in. I think the only player you can't throw in, I think, is Turnbull.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is that, and I think it's always going to be Brown and McGregor. I mean, if they're both fit. But I just do think that Sham is better as a defensive midfielder. That's just always be what it is. But he will definitely play Sham that higher, that further forward. But
yeah.
We'll be here next week talking about it. But
we'll have a clearer picture of who's come back fit and stuff like that. So.
Well, Scotland just done their first round of subs after the 72nd minute, so Clark's done a pen in there. So
assuming it's still 0-0.
Still 0-0, not the greatest game.
Does it finish on tonight?
Yep, plays to finish.
Plays to finish tonight. Okay. Right. Well, we'll wrap this up then. We can go and catch the last 20 minutes. We've definitely not missed anything, and I don't need to pick my boy up for training. My wife's doing that on her way home from. I don't know where she is, to be honest. I think our pal moved in a new house last week, and I think she's helping her clear out her garage or something. So.
Oh well, it's not allowed in the house. That's not too bad.
No, they're not allowed in the house. No, she asked her to go and help her clear out the garage. So, I probably just stuck her in there, didn't I?
I'm saying nothing.
Okay, well, thanks again for coming on, and. This time next week we'll be looking forward to the Glasgow derby, and hopefully everyone's fit, and we've got a couple of things we're going to try and fill the rest of the pod with next week, because we can't spend 60 minutes talking about formations and who should play, because that's just boring. That's what everybody else will be doing. So we'll be coming back to look at something that came up a few weeks ago, so now that I've said it, we definitely need to put it in there. So thanks again, Kevin, for coming on.
Not at all.
All right, we'll catch you next week.
Bye-bye.
And they gave us James McRory and Paul McStay. They gave us Johnston, Tully, Murdoch, Gold and Hay. And most of the football greats have passed through Parkhead's gates. But to play football the Glasgow Celtic way.